Welcome to Ultimate Playlist. I'm Matt. That's Briggs. And this is a show where Briggs and I choose the best 10 songs around a theme to create its ultimate playlist. And we each contribute our top 5. Today's theme is Ultimate Glam Rock Playlist, Briggs.
That's right. Glam rock, early 70s. That's when it happened.
Pretty much like a 5-year span, somewhere like 70 to 75,
Max,
and then we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Shall we? We'll talk a little bit more about the genre as we go, but do you want to just get
Sounds
started
good.
with your number 5?
Let's get into it. My number 5 was Come On Feel the Noise by Slade.
So you think my singing's out of time? Well, it makes me money, and I don't know why, and I don't know why anymore. Oh no! So come on, feel the noise. Girls, grab the boys. We get wild, wild, wild. We get wild, wild, wild. So come.
Great one.
Yeah, I like this one. This is like a lot of the glam tunes. It's pretty fun, you know? It's like
Super fun.
Yeah. This was actually designed. I didn't realize this. This song was designed with audience participation in mind. So the chorus was meant to be a sing-along, and that was what they were going for, and it worked.
Yeah, the guy who wrote it, Naughty Holder, he said that he went to Naughty Holder's a crazy
Funny,
name.
it's such a funny name.
Naughty Holder. He went to a Chuck Berry show and noticed Chuck would stop playing because the entire audience would be singing his songs back to him. He's like, oh, why don't we write a song that's
We should
like
do this.
participatory, yeah. Yeah, this is a great one. Of course, the first time I ever really encountered it, I'm pretty sure was the Quiet Riot
Of course.
version, because that was on the radio when we were like really young, but still.
It was a bigger hit in the U.S. also. This the original Slade one didn't make a huge dent in the U.S. Number 1 hit in the U.K. 1973, but barely cracked the Hot 100. It went to 98, the Slade version.
Yeah.
But the Quiet Riot version went to 5. It was top 10 hit, number 5.
Right, it was a huge hit for them.
10 years later. So
Interesting. Do you know if there was another song by Quiet Riot that went up there? They didn't do. I can't remember. I'm wondering if they might be a one-hit wonder with that cover.
They basically are. I think they had maybe another minor hit, but it's kind of funny because I don't really like Quiet Riot. I think they're.
No.
I mean, they're kind of obnoxious. But they didn't want to do this cover, I guess, because they wanted their whole album to be originals, and then I don't know if they were forced to put this on or whatever, but they did it, and that was their hit. So, haha.
Yeah, I guess I think I read somewhere that they tried to do it intentionally bad on purpose, so that the record company would reject it. But that didn't work, and
no such luck.
No, but
I mean it's a pretty infectious song though, you know, even if you do it kind of poorly or whatever, it's still catchy and memorable, and it is. I mean, Slade achieved their goal of writing a sing-along song.
They certainly did. I mean, the thing that like floors me about Slade is how huge they were in the UK.
They were huge. They had tons of hits. They had a Christmas song was a huge hit. I mean, which is kind of weird. There was a bunch of glam bands that had Christmas songs in one year, and they all did pretty well. But interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they sold.
But yeah, Slade was a big band.
They sold 50 million copies worldwide. Most of that was in Britain, like 30 million in the UK. And then
they're huge.
I saw too that they have like this song was their first. It was number 1 in the first week, and so what that means is sales in the first week. That's not like a record plays or spins on the radio. And it was the first time that was done since "Get Back" by the Beatles, which was one of their last singles. Crazy. Yeah. They had 17 consecutive top 20 hits. They had 6 number 1s. And then they moved to the United States in 1975 because I think they wanted to capitalize on that market. They're like, we're saturated here. This is an island of 70 million. We need to go across the pond. And then they released a movie, didn't do very well, released an album, did okay. And then that was kind of it for them after 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, they did kind of get a little bit of a resurgence back to the original Slade when Quiet Riot guys came around and repopularized it. So Quiet Riot, actually, back to that, they actually did another Slade cover.
Did they?
Mama, We're All Crazy Now. And then, and their other hit was a Metal Health, Bang Your Head. Metal Health Will Drive You Mad.
Yeah. Bang Your Head. That's right. Okay. Yeah, and Slade was pretty influential too. I saw a number of artists that named them as like a really influential band. In fact, I got this quote from Joey Ramone saying, "I spent most of the early 1970s listening to Slade alive, thinking to myself, wow, this is what I want to do." Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Very influential.
Awesome.
Should we move on to your number 5?
That's a great number 5. Mine is Do You Want to Touch Me by Gary Glitter.
Trying to get along, pretending that you're oh so shy. I'm a natural man, doing all I can. My temperature is running high. Friday night, no one inside, and we got so much to share. Walking's fine if you got the time. I ain't got the time to spare. Do you wanna touch? Yeah. Do you wanna touch? Yeah. Do you wanna touch me now? Yeah. Do you wanna touch? Yeah. Do you wanna touch?
Complicated one there, Gary
Yeah,
Glitter.
absolutely. Absolutely. I avoided him purposefully.
I know. I was thinking about that, but I'm like, it's my
It
number
is-
5. I mean,
It's a good song. I like the Joan Jett does a great version of that song.
that's right. She does. Yeah.
And it rocks. I mean, Joan Jett rocks anyways.
She does, yeah. So Gary Glitter, if the audience doesn't know, he's like one of the most hated public figures on the planet because
Rightly so.
He's been rightly
Disgusting
so.
individual.
Absolutely disgusting. Caught with child porn, caught like raping, all sorts of stuff. Not just in the UK, but like all over the world. He went to Cambodia, was deported from Cambodia for his actions. Went to Vietnam, got imprisoned in Vietnam for his actions. Then after he served, deported to the UK, put in prison. He was in prison until this year, got out, but then I think he broke the rules of his parole, and now he's back in prison again. Probably the best place for him. The guy is an absolute
He's a monster.
scumbag. Yeah. And I know like it's hard sometimes like to separate the artist from the art, but
Totally.
I mean, I don't know.
This is a tough one. I mean, it is a catchy song though, but with the context, it's rough to like it.
I know.
I say I like the Joan Jett version better.
All right, well, we can say that. We like Joan Jett a lot better anyway. Okay, cool. Do you want to move on to your number 4?
Yeah, let's do it. My number 4 is Virginia Plain by Roxy Music.
Make me a deal and make it straight. Or sign and seal. I take it to Robert Lee. I show it. I hope that you don't know it 'cause we've been around a long time. Just try to party, make the big time. Take me on a roller coaster. Take me for anything right.
Good one.
Yeah, I like Roxy Music. They have a lot of weirdness in there. That has that in the middle of that synthy part there. That was Brian Eno when he was in the band. He played on their first couple albums.
That's right.
This was Virginia Plain. This was their debut single, which was apparently recorded after their first album, but was released first. But obviously in later releases they included Virginia Plain on the album. But this was another one that was not a hit in the U.S. It was number 4 hit in the U.K. Did not crack the Hot 100 in the U.S., but I felt it's on there. I feel like Roxy Music's more of an art band than art rock than glam rock, but they were around at the time and they were certainly glamorous. Brian Ferry's kind of a style icon, right? And it's got Brian Eno, so there
Of
you
course.
go.
So what?
Yep.
When did you see when this was released?
1972.
1972. Brian, I'm trying to identify what the keyboard was.
He had crazy
It's like a
stuff.
Prophet or something. Like what the heck was it?
No, I think it was before that. Some of this stuff was just like oscillators and like modular kind of thing. There's a performance by Roxy Music on the Old Grey Whistle Test, and Brian Eno looks pretty wild, and he's playing some crazy stuff. But I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was. I think that was before Prophet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In 72.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how homebrew it was, or if it was an early Moog, or I don't really know what it was on there.
Oh, yeah, maybe it could have been a Moog. Yeah, but it sounded like it was sequenced. I don't know if it was played. It sounded like a sequence. But although the Who was doing that in the 70s.
Sure.
So they had the technology.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, if you think of like Who's Next, like that whole album has got Bob O'Reilly's got it, and
I think some of that he actually he played it too, though.
Did he really?
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
There's some like weird loop.
Fact check it. Fact check.
There's some weird loops I know. The one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I think it's in Bob O'Reilly. Sounds like it's this weird. It's kind of a weird loop, and there's like all this distortion happen where the notes kind of conflict with each other, and so that wouldn't have been.
Yes.
He probably played other stuff, but that one I think was like sequenced in some way, but it couldn't have been a computer. It must have been some sort of hardware. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it.
I don't know how they did it, but anyway, that was cool.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just found what it is. It's the VCS3 synthesizer, which was a portable analog synthesizer with a flexible modular voice architecture introduced by Electronic Music Studios in 1969. So there you go.
Okay.
Oh, it's cool looking. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian Eno is of course a very experimental guy, so it makes sense he's whipping that stuff out.
Yep.
Well, my number 4 is the same. We've already done it. It's Come On Feel the Noise, so we don't have to go through that again. But I thought maybe then at this time we can kind of talk about what makes glam. Like, did you like how did you what did you do to sort of narrow this down to pick your songs?
I mean, there's kind of some obvious bands that are known as glam artists, and it was kind of a small crew of musicians, I think, that are the glam ones. So that I feel like it's a pretty small number of songs.
That's true.
But I just kind of poked around on the internet and saw who else besides the ones that I knew offhand were glam artists. But I think it's rock, obviously. It's typically British. The fashion, I think, was important as well. Like, kind of flashy clothes.
Sequins.
Yep, absolutely. Shiny satin.
Yes, that's right. Some makeup, some androgyny, like
yep.
Yeah. I listed some of the attributes. The clothing and style was kind of like one of the first on the list. Also, like it's like more straight up rock. It's more like blues rock and pretty straight up rock construction, like 1-4-5 construction. Very more like early rock, like more like Buddy Holly would kind of do in terms of the chord progressions and stuff.
Yeah.
It just sort of harkens back, and I think I read that it was there was a little bit of a rejection for the prog stuff going on at the time. Like, oh, people are just going far out there. We're just going to go back to kind of our roots.
I see. It was kind of a response.
Also, something that that was common that I ran into was like the way that the guitar sound. Like it's very thrashy, tinny, high end guitar. You know, it was different than some of the hard rock stuff that was going on at the time. And anthemic, like a lot of audience participation where it's,
like Slade.
Like Slade, right, where the choruses are super simple and everybody wants to sing along.
Yep.
And then it looked like 70 to 75. So that was kind of my the attributes that I was looking for in these.
Yeah, I mean, I had basically, the origin of glam around 71 and pretty much done by like 75, same sort of thing. Yeah, so I think we had similar metrics. I think you just articulated it a little better than I
wrote
did.
It down for myself. I wanted to know.
Hey, there you go. That'll help. I'm just riffing here, Matt.
So that was my number 4, which we don't have to talk to because it's your number 5 or talk about. Let's move on to your number 3.
My number 3. All right. My number 3 is Fox on the Run by The Sweet.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're really fun. This song is just a banger too, and it's really fun. It's fun to listen to. It's catchy. Has all the elements. It's got some synths. It's got the crazy high harmonies and everything. These guys were a lot of fun all around, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And this was another band that was huge in the UK. Obviously they had some success in the States as well. But they had a series of number 2 hits in the UK, I think. It was like 3 or 4 in a row, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And this was one of them, went to number 2. It was a top 10 hit in the US, and it went to number 5. So, This apparently, so I didn't realize this. This was the first single that was written by the band themselves. They worked with a couple of songwriters for a lot of their earlier stuff.
Oh yeah.
One of the guys, it was Nicky Chin. Was one
Another
of the guys.
great name.
Yeah, I know, right? Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman were the songwriters for many of their earlier hits, but Fox on the Run was the first one that they wrote as a band.
Yeah. I noticed too, like in the chorus here, very similar to other songs, was a lot of snare on every single one of the beats, like da,
Right,
da,
bap,
da,
bap,
da.
bap.
Yeah, like
bap,
over and over. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
easy to dance to. There's a lot of kind of like 4 on the floor sort of stuff. It really was designed. It's kind of like proto arena rock stuff. Like it's meant for a big audience to sing along to. Is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe that's maybe you're exactly right, because you did have like a lot of the big rock bands, Zeppelin or whatever, doing these stadium tours, kind of early on stadium tours, and so this stuff kind of translates better to that when you just get a lot of people singing back to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of people singing So if you want to be a stadium band, you kind of have to write that way. You have to write with that in mind.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And these guys, they had kind of more bubblegum or pop rock roots, but they were there for glam, and they dressed the part.
They certainly did. Yeah. Cool. Anything else about the suite, or shall we move on to my number 3?
No, let's move on.
Rebel Rebel by David Bowie.
Nice. It's a great song. Bowie's awesome. We could have done a top 5 of the Bowie glam songs.
That's
too.
exactly right. Yeah, he's kind of the grand. I mean, there's a little bit of a debate there, which we can talk about as we go. But
sure, and I'm sure we will.
But he might be kind of the granddaddy of this. I think he kind of, just with the Ziggy Stardust thing, you know what I mean? It was early enough where that probably influenced some of his peers, and even if some of them. I think of one in particular, one of his peers and friends actually in particular that might have more started the movement, but it kind of came from Bowie.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was certainly one of the original people who to dress up crazy, and the androgynous thing was happening, well as just really awesome and catchy songs too.
Yeah, he's great.
And this is one of them. This is kind of the end of Bowie's glam era.
Yep. Yeah, because right after this, so this is off his 8th studio album, and the 9th is he goes to Young Americans, which is way more R&B.
Right. That's like what do they call it? The Philly Soul period or something like that. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. He goes from there. So that's got Young Americans on it. It's got Fame on it, which I love that song. And then and it's funny because his style changed too. On that cover, he's got of Young Americans, he's got like a flannel shirt on. It's crazy. Like, you don't just like after seeing 10 years of Bowie in like space drag. He's now in flannel. And that like this big mop comb over, and then he goes station to station after that, which is Golden Years, which is another kind of.
I love that album.
It's great, and that song I love. Golden Years, I love that song so much.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, this was like the end of it for him. He was like he really wanted to move on. He moved on from a lot of things. He moved on from his long time lead guitar player, I think Ronson. Mick
Ronson.
Didn't do it on this album. And then this was the last time he recorded in Trident Studios. And he'd been recording there since 1968. So he moved on from that. And then moved on from glam. So this was we talked about Bowie on a prior episode where he just sort of like reinvents himself every few years. And this was just the reinvention point from him. But he went out with a bang because this is a great one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The guitar, very Rolling Stones.
Yep.
And it's him. There's some controversy on whether or not he actually played it on the album, but it was his riff, and sounds very like Rolling Stones. But
yeah, absolutely.
But a great one.
So it was Bowie who played the guitar on that?
I think he's credited with it, but I don't. But
he's credited with the lead guitar part for sure.
But the other guitar players, like I know. I think maybe it's Alan Parker. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's
Alan Parker. Yeah.
Yeah. Alan Parker. He's credited
with rhythm guitar.
Yeah, but he's like, I know the sound of myself playing guitar. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
So he claims it. I don't know. I'm not going to go against Bowie.
Hey,
here,
I believe it. Who knows? Bowie probably doesn't remember either. He did so much coke.
You're probably right.
Ainsley Dunbar played drums on that track. I didn't realize that from Frank Zappa fame and everyone else. I mean, he's been in a ton of bands.
That's right. Yeah. But also, Bowie produced this. Bowie mixed it. So this is like all Bowie.
This is full Bowie.
All the Bowie you can handle and more. But yeah, then end of an era. Then he moved on and totally different thing. Going into the next decade from 76 into 80.
As he does.
And then what did I say? So this was off of Diamond Dogs. The song Rebel Rebel didn't actually go that high. I think it was appreciated more maybe later, because I remember on all the classic rock stations when we were growing up, they would play Rebel Rebel. But it only hit number 64 on the Hot 100.
Interesting.
It did hit 16 on the rock chart, so it did a little bit better there. But and the album did better. It hit number 5 on the Hot 200. But
became more of a staple of like the album-oriented radio sort of programming.
Yep. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I could talk about Bowie. We'll run into Bowie many times on this show, and we can talk about him forever, whatever.
Including right now at my number 2, which is The Genie by David Bowie.
Talking about Monroe and walking on Snow White. New York's a go-go and everything tastes nice. Poor little greenie. Ooh. Get back on it. Genie lives on his back. The Genie loves chimney stacks. He's outrageous, he screams and he bawls. The Genie, let yourself go.
Great one.
Yeah, I love this one. This is off of Aladdin Sane, the album, which has the iconic cover. Pretty glammed out Bowie with the
silver
the
suit,
lightning bolt. He's shirtless on the album cover, but he's got the short, like the red kind of pseudo mullet or whatever haircut, and with the lightning bolt across the face.
Yeah,
and that's Mick Ronson. That's Mick Ronson on guitar still. He's great. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah. Bowie always played with great musicians.
Yeah, of course.
Mick. Yeah. That's such a cool song. It's like it's that R&B like thing in the guitar, but it's got like a weird phrase in it too. So it's super cool writing.
Yeah,
I love that.
This
song.
one's pretty loose too when you listen to the recording. It doesn't sound like they did a whole lot of takes of this. Like he's yelling at the band in the middle of it when he's like, "Get back on it." Someone makes a mistake right before then, and then they get into the chorus.
Put it on the record,
which I appreciate. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds great. Why do it again if it's awesome?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. Like, you can be sloppy, and it adds to the groove of the song. Like,
sure.
And this one,
if it's everyone's grooving, I mean, you should leave the mistake in. It makes it more real, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Bowie's great. Anything else you want to talk about him or this song?
I mean, this was another one that was a big hit in the UK. Number 2, only went to 71 on the Hot 100. But once again, this is kind of an enduring song for Bowie. It was a big hit for him.
Absolutely. Well, we're just going to go back to the suite with the Ballroom Blitz.
Nice.
You're getting so strange. I like to tell you everything I see. Oh, I see a man at the back. As a matter of fact, his eyes are as red as the sun. And the girl in the corner, let no one ignore her, 'cause she thinks she's the passionate one. Oh, yeah, it was like lightning. Everybody was frightening. And the music was soothing.
Awesome.
Love that song.
This one is definitely on my short list. I was hoping you would pick it, and that's why I picked Fox on the Run.
Yep. It worked out perfectly. You read my mind, I read yours, and everything was great.
Yeah, this song is awesome. It's
Such a
so
great song.
fun. It's so fun again. And the backstory is great. It's apparently based on a true story where they were playing some show and the audience started whipping bottles at them, and it turned into a ballroom blitz.
Yeah, it did. The suite, again, we talked about, like, this was number 5 on the Hot 100. So this actually did really well in the United States.
Yes.
Number 2 in the UK. You mentioned, I think they had a string of number 2s, but they were more popular than I would have known, which is amazing because they're great. Like the chorus
it makes sense
on that thing,
they're popular.
The chorus on that thing with like the super high vocals and it's just so chirpy.
It's great.
It's so awesome.
The guitar riff is awesome.
It's
got a lot going for it.
Yeah. But of course, I was not introduced to the original first. I was reduced to the Tia Carrera cover on Wayne's World in 1992.
I believe the band was called Crucial Taunt.
It's ridiculous.
I know, but that's what they were called. Yeah, I mean, that's where I heard it also, but their version's good too.
Their version's good too.
Song.
Yeah, I like the song.
You can't really mess it up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, that's a really good song, and then figured out it was a cover, and was like, yeah, the original's pretty badass.
A bunch of people have covered it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like that they don't mind being a little goofy too when he's like introducing the band at the beginning. Are you ready, Steve? Okay.
You have to have a sense of humor about yourself if you're going to do that type of music, and you're going to look like you do in glam.
Yeah,
you got
sing that high.
And sing that high. Yeah. And the sample, of course, in Hey Ladies too. She thinks she's the passionate one.
Right.
In the Hey Ladies. Yeah.
Yep.
So good. Oh, the other thing that these songs, like, even though they're so fun, they're still written really well. That's the amazing thing. Like, I love how the verse, it starts on the 4 chord. So it's like this whole suspension that resolves to the 1. So you just have this nice little tension grooving along until the end of the verse when it resolves on the 1. It's so cool.
It's a signature of Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman.
Yeah, it's their signature move, the 4 chord.
Right.
A shuffle beat too.
Excellent.
Hit like a little bit more, a little less straight on this one.
It's like a shuffly train beat kind of with the snare thing.
Yep. Yeah, so good.
It is good.
Anyway, they're amazing.
It rocks. The Sweet are awesome. They're really good.
Really good.
This song still sounds fun and pretty fresh even now.
Sounds great.
And and everyone knows this song too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, shall we move on to your number 1?
Yeah, let's do it. My number 1 is Hot Love by T.Rex.
She ain't no witch, and I love the way she treats you. Well, she ain't no witch, and I love the way she treats you. I'm a two-pretty prince, and I give her hot love. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
T-Rex.
This one was, I love T.Rex. I mean, this is another one we could have done top 5 T.Rex glam songs.
Absolutely.
'Cause they had a string of hits also. This one I picked because this was kind of the one that started it all, as they say. Like, it was a performance of on Top of the Pops. They did this song. And Mark Bolan came out with the shiny satin suit and some sparkly stuff on his face, and thus a glam was born.
Got all the kids riled up.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like both him and Bowie were kind of winding each other up too,
They were. They were friends.
As so happens. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, they were friends. Bowie wrote a song about Bolan too. Which one? I can't remember what it was, but I think it went both ways. Those guys apparently had some sort of pact to name their kids. They were gonna name it was supposed to be Zoe Bowie, and Roland Bolan, but Mark Bolan did it. Roland Bolan is his son. It's not Roland, it's Roland Bolan. Ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I'd like to talk more about T.Rex and Bolan, but maybe we should do my number 1 first, which is, of course, Bang a Gong by T.Rex.
Yeah.
When you're building that big car, you got a hubcap, diamond star halo. You feel like a car, oh yeah. When you're an untamed youth, that's the truth. When you're cloak full of evils, you're dirty, sweet, and you're my girl. Give it all, bang a gong, give it all.
Awesome.
Do you mind meld with me on this one too?
Yeah,
and
I did.
Not yeah, right.
I mean,
I'm gonna
T-Rex
go more
obviously
down the middle,
has to be T-Rex has to be on the list, right?
Absolutely.
For glam, and that was definitely their biggest song, especially here in the States.
Yep.
But I mean, there's so many good ones, and
20th Century Boy could have been on the list.
Yep,
Great song.
sure. Metal Guru, Telegram Sam. There's a ton of hits. T-Rex had like 3 really excellent albums. Electric Warrior, which is what I think both of these were off of.
Yep.
And then The Slider, which is really great. And then Tanks is also pretty good. TANX.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one thing that I particularly like about these T.Rex records is the background vocals, which is Flo and Eddie from the Turtles and Frank Zappa fame. Yep.
Oh shit!
So that's them doing the na 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 na, the high pitch thing on the Hot Love thing. And they're all over those records. And
so are they doing the high Get It On too?
I believe so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
They sound great.
They're awesome. They're so good, and they're fun too. They're really fun and funny. Everything they do is infused with at least a little bit of humor.
Yeah. So maybe the ultimate glam band, even though Bowie might have kind of started it with like the Stardust stuff. I think you're exactly right. It was that Top of the Pops performance that Bolan dressed the way that he was that like really was like, we're doing some, we're doing this, and really influenced kind of all his like contemporaries in Britain.
Sure.
So I think I would probably, when I think glam, I think T.Rex, and it's not to take anything away from Bowie, but just Bowie was multi-genre.
Kind of transcended it too. And then Mark Bolan died kind of young also.
That's the other thing too, right? So he's kind of, fixed within that time frame. He died in, what did he die in, like 1975 or something?
77.
77. Yeah, he was 29 years old. Too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Sad too. I watched like a documentary on him and some like interviews. I don't know, not too long. I was maybe within the last year or something, and he seems super smart too.
Yeah.
Like a really intelligent guy. It's super sad that he died as young as he did because I would have loved to see what he was going to do. He's really prolific for such a young guy.
Awesome guitar player, great songwriter.
Yep.
Pretty unique style and sound too when he plays guitar. It's not super flashy, but it's catchy and fun and kind of pretty sparse a lot of times, but I really like it.
And you can see he's like a very serious guy, but then he's a serious guy.
He's got a lot of whimsy. He's got a lot of whimsy to him.
He has a lot of, like when he's performing, you see him like he'll be serious, but then you'll see him smile and he's like, oh man, this guy's got charisma, like
absolutely
such charisma. So good.
He started as kind of like a folky because T-Rex used to be called Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it was like him and a guy on like hand drums, and it was like tripped out folk music. And then the Hot Love song was I think the first single they did as T-Rex with a band.
Yep.
And then,
he tried a band.
Went from there.
Tried a band early on, but I think something happened where it's like he got the musicians, his backup musicians, like a few hours before the show, and it was a disaster. He got like chased from the stage. And so then you're right, it was him and another dude that did something that turned into Tyrannosaurus Rex, that turned into T-Rex, right?
Yep.
Where he found his home. But the other, like the sad part is like his death, of course. And so it's kind of crazy, like what surrounded his death. He was deathly afraid of cars. And so he never learned to drive.
Right.
And his wife was driving. I guess they were out.
Yeah.
They were drinking, and she missed a turn. Basically, missed a turn, like hit a tree, and he died. She broke her arm, but he died. It killed him. Just a sad way to go.
Absolutely. It's interesting though for a guy who didn't learn how to drive. Half the T-Rex songs are about cars or talk about cars. It's really weird.
And he owned a bunch of cars too.
Yeah, for sure.
But he never did drive.
Interesting.
I don't know. I guess maybe it's a death wish sort of infatuation. Like kind of like I don't like snakes. I'm kind of afraid of snakes. Okay. But I love watching snakes on like a Discovery Channel or something because it just kind of gives you a little thrill, even though they're gross. Right.
Yeah, could be a similar thing.
Maybe. Love T-Rex, the best.
Yep. He's great. I mean, I feel like, if you have to pick one artist that typifies glam, it's got to be T-Rex.
Why no Kiss, though?
I don't know. They're not really, I don't know. They have elements of it, but it just doesn't taste right, I guess, for glam for me,
Then what the hell are they? Like, if you think about I Want to Rock and Roll All Night, that's a glam song, right? Yeah,
I guess so, right? And it's got the anthemic chorus. They're wearing the makeup, but they were more...
What were
horror movie maybe rather than glam? You know what I mean?
They were like Guar?
They wore like black. They didn't wear like kind of shiny satin stuff. It was like black studded leather with big demon boots and stuff.
But then what about the star? Like the dumb guy with the star.
Yeah.
I mean, who was that? That was the bass player, I think, right? Or the second guitar player.
Oh yeah. That was what was his name? Paul Stanley.
Did Paul Stanley have the star?
Was he the star man? I thought he was the star man.
I thought they used to make fun of the Freely guy, or I don't remember the other one.
I can't remember. I don't
remember either.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't put him on my list because I don't like Kiss.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, that song's okay. But
they have some good songs, but like as a crew of people, it's they're a bunch of idiots too.
They're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, Paul Stanley is the star man.
Okay, he is a star man. So what was do you know what the other guitar player was?
Yeah, Ace Frehley kind of looked like the Ultimate Warrior from wrestling.
That's right. That's right.
Peter Criss was the cat, and Gene Simmons was like the demon face or whatever.
Did you ever see the announcement that they did when they went like makeupless? Like there was this, it was like on.
Oh,
it was
I
on,
remember
like,
when that happened, but I don't remember the announcement.
It was on like 60 Minutes or something, where they're like, for the first time in the history of the world, we have Kiss unmasked, and it was like pictures of them with the mask, and then it like faded into them with their fleshy skin.
Whoa.
And it looked so so gross because
they were pretty ugly. All they're not like good looking guys. The makeup was helping them out.
You're not used to their face like that, and then you see it all fleshy.
Yeah,
and I think they played the fleshy up. I think it was like more orange than it could have been.
Oh yeah, they probably still had makeup on, right? But it was just flesh colored makeup.
Yeah, and it was like I think it was like Kiss unmasked. It just was so cheesy. That must have been in the 80s.
They have a lot of bad songs. They have some good ones, but
what's a good one? Like I know Beth. I don't think Beth is very.
Yeah, that's not great. They have some. I like Detroit Rock City. I think that's a pretty rocking song.
Yeah, I guess that's all right.
But their bad songs outweigh their good songs, I feel like.
Yeah. But people
I don't know.
love
Some people, yeah, I think it's like it's a flavor thing. You know, like some people think cilantro tastes like soap. You know, some people like Kiss.
Kiss tastes like soap. I never, maybe it was just the theatrics of it and sort of the confidence.
I think a lot of people go through a Kiss phase, you know, because I think it really was meant to appeal to like 12-year-old boys. You know, kind of like wrestling, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, but I think a lot of people grew out of it.
Yeah.
Or you're all in, you know. Some people are just all in on Kiss, which is fine.
Do you think it's the same kind of thing as like the ICP, the Insane Clown Posse? Is it kind of
maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's
vibe?
a subculture, right? And it is a kind of like people would go to Kiss shows.
And you'd paint your face.
It was like kind of it would be a vibe, right? Or like a scene, whatever you want to call it.
Or like Jimmy Buffett for the elderly.
Sure. Or like the jam bands that people follow around, anything like that, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess it's a culture. They have their own language. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 And say what you want about Kiss, they're the kings of merchandising.
Oh, they are with their figurines.
Everything.
They did a cartoon too or something?
They did everything. Anything you can think of.
Lunchbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good for them. Probably made a lot of money.
Pinball machines.
Oh,
yeah. You can find a Kiss pinball machine presently.
Yeah.
They licensed anything you can think of.
I'm trying to think of any of those bands that have like those kind of hypey cultures that I like. If there's any of those bands that I really like, the type of band that you might follow around or dress like. I can't really think about it. I'm not a Buffett guy.
No,
don't like the ICP. I mean, Fish back in the day, maybe, but that wasn't really.
Yeah, I mean, the jam band scene in general has a following. People like going to like festivals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what I liked about I liked the music at the time too, but but Fish going to 2 giant festivals with 70,000 people was kind of cool, and they built a town for you. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
And Fish's the 2 that I went to, they had a bunch of other bands that were playing throughout the day with them. So like you got to see a lot of awesome music and just tool around and watch the sights. But but I'm not a Buffett head or whatever, a parrot head or something.
No, me either. Yeah. No thanks.
No thanks. Anything?
But yeah, I don't think Kiss is really glam. Circling back to that. And that's why they're not on my list. I had all English bands. Right, sure. I'm just rock and roll, right?
Rock and roll, okay. Yeah,
and
did I do all
partying
English?
Every day.
And partying,
mine were all English.
Glitter. Yeah, mine are all British. There aren't a lot of Americans. I mean, I saw like Lou Reed listed, but I wouldn't count him as a glam.
No, I mean, he had that one album. It was just produced by Bowie. You know, the Transformer album got listed as kind of glam, and I mean, it's as glam as Lou Reed gets, but he's not really a glam artist. I mean, he might be more than meets the eye, but he's not a glam Transformer. Right.
Yeah. The Alice Cooper from the United States, I guess you could count him.
Well, because he wore makeup and he was kind of more spooky, and it didn't really fit the fun part of it, you know?
Right. He crossed over the spooky line. Yeah. That School's Out for a song isn't bad.
No, that's a good song. I like that song.
But he didn't really do much else that I thought was compelling. He's a really smart guy too, but just not a great writer, I don't think.
He was also in Wayne's World.
He was, yeah. Talking about Millie Walk K.
You got it. What other songs? I had All the Young Dudes by Mott the
Yep.
Hoople, which was obviously written by David Bowie,
Bowie,
and he's
yeah.
on the track singing background vocals.
Yep.
I saw some folks list Killer Queen by Queen as a glam song,
Yeah,
which
I
is
saw
kind of
some Queen.
glammy, but I don't know if it didn't do it for me.
I mean, you could think like Mercury kind of dressed that way. So you can kind of think of it that way. But that song, I don't know, it doesn't, it's not like upbeat enough or anthemic
Right.
enough.
Yeah.
Like that one in
It's a
particular.
good
Like,
song.
You could do like, there's probably other songs that would be more glam, but they were earlier. Or,
Right.
I don't know. Or maybe.
Well, that
no,
one was Killer Queen was 74.
I was 74.
So it was In the Zone.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other, like Seven Seas of Rye might be a little bit more of a glam. I don't know. That's got piano in it though. They're usually
Right.
guitar. There
were
might be
some
other
Yeah.
Queen songs.
Yeah. There were some other bands that were I think were probably bigger hits at the time, but didn't survive the test of time as much. Like this band Mud. Did you hear them?
Yeah,
They were,
I don't
they
know
had,
them.
okay. They had, I think one of their hits was written by the Nicky Chin combo.
Those guys
There's
got
also
around.
Susie Quattro, Can the
Yep.
Can. That was a
Yep.
big song. That's actually pretty rocking. So shout out to Susie Quattro.
Yeah, I did see Mud, and I listened to
Mm-hmm.
a couple of their tracks. I listened to Quattro as well, a couple of their tracks, but I just wasn't familiar with their music. So
Yeah, me either. I don't think they were big, enduring hits,
Yeah,
I saw some people listed New York Dolls as a glam
they have
band.
that one song that's kind of glammy. What is it like? What is it called?
Personality Crisis.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, that's their song. That whole first album that they did it's awesome. It's produced by Todd Rundgren.
Oh wow!
And it's got Personality Crisis. It's got a bunch of all the songs are really good. And they have it's definitely like they dressed up too. Yeah, I mean they looked to the part of glam, but they were more punk rock.
Crazy that guy did Hot 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 in the 80s.
David Johansen as Buster
so weak.
Poindexter. Yeah, he's I don't know, man. He can do no wrong in my book. I like him
Because
even
of the
even as
doll
Buster
stuff?
Poindexter. Yeah, oh yeah, that first New York Dolls album is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he's cool, but I just don't know. I don't know about. I don't know. It's like when Garth Brooks went to his like
Yep,
his like indie
his
rock
alter
phase.
ego. Was it Chris
Chris
Gaines? Is that what
Gaines,
it's called?
yeah.
Chris Gaines.
He looks so goofy with his like comb over and
Yep,
like
with the wig or whatever.
side. It looks like a soul patch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. Buster Poindexter, I think, was just more for fun, and probably the dude needed a paycheck too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, how much could that? Yeah, because New York Dolls was so fast. I feel like they were in and out and they were over with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not punk enough, I guess, because then it goes to punk after that. But then you have some like harder, like you have to.
Well,
be,
yeah, New York Dolls were kind of like not really proto punk, but they were pre-punk or whatever. They were part of the foundation of it. I feel like.
Exactly, but then it gets harder. It gets like dirtier and harder. So they probably couldn't. Just like with MC Hammer, like he could when you go into gangster rap, MC Hammer's not.
Oh yeah, he
crossing
can't
over.
hang with that. Yeah,
No,
he tried to and it didn't work. He
did
dropped the
not.
MC.
He did. That's right, Hammer. Right, because what did he do? He did a song like "The Girls with the Boom" or something. I was like, I'm hearing the chorus in my head.
I don't
very,
remember.
very strange one. Yeah, but Tupac, he's not. There you
No,
go.
certainly not.
All right, well, a good list. I mean, there aren't a ton of bands, aren't a ton of songs, but great ones. I mean, T.Rex,
Yeah,
so good. Slade,
sure.
so good. So
Yep, the sweet.
the Sweet's so good.
Yeah, I feel like we had a pretty good mix of tunes here.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, thanks for reading my mind and staying away from the more popular of the others. But yeah, that helped out.
Right on.
Anything else you want to talk about before we quit?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Well, this has been Ultimate Playlist, and so for Briggs, I'm Matt, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.